This video is brought to you by JSK.com. We're one of the largest tool retail company in Canada's capital region. If you want to buy any tools you see in this video, please come to our store or visit our website. So we're in the process of making a Sawzall comparison, like trying to find the best Sawzall for you guys to buy. And that's why I can see the DeWalt and Makita Sawzall behind me. But before that, I was always wondering which blade I should test it on, or just which blade to choose in general. So I looked into it and it's pretty interesting. That's why this is kind of like a prequel video for our Sawzall comparison. So how do you choose a blade? There are two main areas that you have to pay attention to. One is the length, and the second is TPI, or teeth per inch. All the blades that I'm showing today is from Milwaukee. It's not because they are the best blades on the market, or not because I actually prefer them, but rather just because we have a lot of them in stock. So if you guys want to buy a few, definitely let me know. The length of the blade is pretty self-explanatory, and from what I understand, a 6-inch is pretty much the shortest you can get for a regular size Sawzall. Now, if you use the hacksaw, you might be able to find shorter blades, but in general, a 6-inch is as short as it is, and I don't recommend you to go 6-inch anyway, because I actually made the mistake of picking all shorter blades because, well, they're a bit cheaper and I'm not really taking down a house or something. So just for the sake of doing the test, I picked mostly the shortest blade we have. But the thing is, whenever you're picking the blade, lengthwise, you have to consider the stroking distance for a Sawzall. Now, it's mostly the same, but the thing you have to be aware is, whenever the blade is retracted, it still have to be longer than your material. Say, if I want to cut the 2x4 along its wider face, then I'm gonna have some trouble because it's 4 inches across and my blade is only 6 inches, which means in some cases when the blade is fully retracted, my entire blade will be buried in the material. And because of that, I had some huge headaches when I was trying to cut through our regular 4x4, but luckily I found some scrap 2x4 laying around, so we did rest of the test all on 2x4s. And also just proceed general caution and try to think about where you're gonna use the blade when you're buying one, because say if you're cutting metal conduit in a corner of 2 concrete walls, you definitely don't want to use a really long blade. It can sometimes poke into the concrete wall and leave a lot of damage. And also in general, longer blades are a bit more flexible than shorter ones. Shorter ones like this, even though it's not that thick, but it's still pretty rigid because it's short. But if it's a longer blade, even this is also pretty thick. It's a pruning blade. It's pretty flexible, so you can bend the blade when you need to cut underneath some material. Now, the second important thing would be TPI, which is teeth per inch. And the common TPI ranges from 5 all the way to 24. It's on the Sawzall right now, to 24. And in general, the smaller the number is, the lesser teeth the blade will have per inch. A smaller TPI blade will give you faster but rougher cut. A TPI of 5 is kind of a demolition blade because it cuts things very fast and you don't really care about how smooth the cut will be when you're demolishing a house. The only thing that's important in that case would be speed. I also tried to cut the 2x4 with a pruning blade. The pruning blade is also a 5 TPI blade, but with a much more aggressive teeth. It's a bit faster than the regular 5 TPI blade, but it definitely made a huge mess, and it's a bit harder to control than the regular 5 TPI blade. If we move further up, we'll have a TPI of 7. This is kind of a specialty blade. Normally with a TPI of 7, you might think, yeah, you can still cut wood or something with it, but this blade is designed specifically to cut through thick metal or Schedule 40 pipes. It's kind of terrifying to cut through like thick metal pipe with a Sawzall, but it does the job just fine. There's no visual damage that I can see. Well, I only cut through 2 pieces, but there are no visual damages I can see. The paint smeared off, but the blade worked just fine. And also, by the way, these 2 blades are the fancier blades with carbide teeth. And if you really want to compare it, these 2 are the TPI 5, one with carbide, one without. They do the job just fine. There aren't any big difference that I can notice, but the one with carbide teeth might last longer, but functionally they're the same. If we move further up, we can see a TPI of A/12. Just be aware, this is not A/12th, but rather A/12. It's a multi-purpose blade. You can cut wood with it, it's pretty fast. You can also cut metal with it, like I cut the Schedule 40 pipe with this. It's pretty fast, like it does the job just fine. I don't know how many cuts it'll last because it's just probably not designed for it, but it cut it just fine. I can imagine if I need to buy a Sawzall, I'll probably just buy a pack of 10 with a TPI of 8/12, and I can pretty much cut through everything. Now, if we go further down, this is a TPI of 14. This is a really fine teeth blade. On the blade, it says it's for metal, and I try to cut the Schedule 40 pipe with this. It's not doing a great job, maybe because the pipe is too thick. It's taking a long time to cut it, but albeit the cut is a lot smoother, I can imagine it's probably used to cut thinner, say, metal conduit or just a thin sheet of metal. And then if we want a even thinner or finer teeth blade, here we have a blade with a TPI of 24. You can probably cut brass pipe with this. If we want to move further up in the TPI range, there are also specialty blades like this. So this is a cast iron diamond grit blade, and this is for cutting a thick metal pipe, glass, plastic, and brick. So with this blade, whenever you're cutting with it, it's pretty much just grinding the material away. It's kind of like a sander in the shape of a blade. And it can cut through wood, and I tried it. It's not very nice. It created a huge amount of dust and it smoked a lot. I was worrying if I'm gonna caught something on fire, but it does work just fine. But I can see it's definitely not designed for it. I also tried to cut Schedule 40 with this, not doing that great. It's a lot slower than regular blades, and also it smoked a lot. So I kind of stopped it there because I don't want to burn down our store. Maybe in the future we'll find a brick or a slab of concrete and try to cut it with this. But as of right now, I don't really know how to test this. Please let me know in a comment. So during the test, I also deliberately used the wrong blade to cut some material, and here are some results. With regular 2x4, you can just use anything. Even the diamond grit one worked just fine, but it created a lot of dust. It's a fine dust powder floating everywhere. Don't use this. But everything else worked just fine. Even the 24 TPI metal blade worked just fine. Albeit it's really, really slow because, yeah, if you think about it, with smaller teeth, with every pull, the amount of material that it can take off is a lot smaller than something like this. Like whenever this bites into a material and it pulls, it can grab a ton of material out of whatever you're cutting. But with smaller teeth, it's a slower cut. But yes, the cut is a lot nicer, a lot smoother. I was also trying to use this blade, this pruning blade, to cut the Schedule 40 pipe, but it doesn't work. And I didn't even try it because it's really scary to use something like this on a metal pipe. I think I did try to use the all-purpose one and it worked just fine. And also the AX carbide teeth one, it worked, but not that great. So basically, if all you do is cut thick metal pipe, go get this 7 TPI carbide teeth blade that's designed for thick metal. And as I mentioned before, in general, if I'm buying it today or tomorrow or in the foreseeable future, and I have no idea what I'll be cutting it through, or I just want one blade that works in most cases pretty decently, I'll just go with the 8/12 TPI one because it cuts wood just fine and it can cut through metal. It's a bit more scary, but it works just fine. And for a few cuts, like in its lifetime, it worked out just okay. And I also tested cutting through plastic PVC. Everything works. The pruning blade doesn't work too well because the teeth is too big and it constantly get caught onto the material and it jumps. But everything else worked just fine. It pretty much ends up being the blade get hot enough and melt through the pipe. So that's it. Whenever you're buying a blade, first figure out how big or how small a blade that you can fit in or that you can work with. If it's in a very tight area, I would suggest you get the 6-inch one or sometimes even shorter. I think there are 5 inches. There are some 5-inch blades, but in general, an 8-inch or a 9-inch one work just fine. And if you need the blade to bend a lot, just get a longer one because it's easier to bend longer metal. Figure out the TPI. If you don't know what you need, just get the 8/12 or I think 7/11 one. Those are kind of the all-purpose or general purpose blade that can cut through pretty much everything. But if you need to cut through thick metal all the time, definitely get a thicker 7 TPI carbide one. So that's it. If you like this video, you can click like and subscribe to our channel. Remember to share this video with your friends, your family, and your neighbors. If you have any suggestions, leave a comment or you can reach us through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. See you next time. Bye.